Last year, the Daleks in colour was an interesting experiment. The colourisation worked quite well, but the editing required to cut the story down to 75 minutes made it rather hard to follow. And now they've done the same thing to the War Games, cutting a 10-episode story down to 90 minutes. And not surprisingly, it's turned out much the same. But it's still interesting to watch, although personally I still prefer the original. For the first half hour or so, it all works well enough. The bright colours bring a whole new dimension to the story. In particular, the Doctor's blue shirt and Jamie's red kilt really pop out of the screen. Admittedly, the mud-spattered trench scenes are mostly brown, but later on, when they get to the other zones, you can see the lush green countryside, which is a definite improvement. The cuts to the first few episodes aren't too bad. They're down to about 15 minutes each, and there's not much of importance lost. There's a lot of repetitive captures and escapes throughout the 10 original episodes, and it doesn't hurt too much to lose a few of them, and all of the important story points are still included. But once the action moves to the control centre, the edits do get a lot more severe. Parts 5 and 6 are over and done with in 5 minutes, so anyone who hasn't seen the original would be lost. The pacing feels more like a trailer, or a previously on Doctor Who segment, with audio from one scene played over another, and loud incidental music covering everything. It's all very frantic, and does not fit with the tone of the original story. The colorisation work is still impressive though, with the control room enhanced with multicoloured controls, and little touches like the Warlord's glasses being tinted red, plus new effect shots of Sid Watts going through space. Towards the end, the pacing levels out again, and the last few episodes are back up to 15 minutes each. There's still a lot cut out, but most of the Gallifrey scenes are left intact and even expanded on. The Capitol Dome effect from the new series is used several times over, which does feel jarring as Gallifrey doesn't even have a name yet, let alone an iconic look. The scene of the Doctor dismissing his potential new faces has been updated to include several of the new series Doctors, as if they all existed as potential Doctors before they ever came into being, although that doesn't explain why they were wearing their costumes as well. Really, he should have just been shown the faces of the actors out of costume. I guess it's an improvement over the original hand drawings, which felt far too low-tech for the godlike Time Lords of this era. But it doesn't make a lot of sense, and feels more like a jokey YouTube edit. The regeneration itself is also extended, and this does come from somebody's YouTube video. The second Doctor sitting on a chair in the TARDIS doesn't feel quite right, so perhaps the technology isn't yet there to do full CGI recreations of all the missing episodes. But the scenes of the third Doctor post-regeneration are very convincing, and the TARDIS chronometer flicking between 1970 and 1980 is a nice in-joke. So it's an interesting watch throughout. It doesn't completely work, but it's not a total failure. I've watched the original version a few times, but always one episode at a time. This is the first time I've ever been able to sit through the whole thing in one setting. So if they were just aiming to make a more accessible version of the story, then they succeeded. Though it is unlikely that anybody watching this for the first time would have been able to follow the plot. But cutting down a 250-minute story into 90 minutes was never going to be easy, and if nothing else it might have inspired some people to check out the original, who might not have been too keen otherwise. 10 episodes of slow black and white television is not for everybody, but for me it's one of the best Doctor Who stories of its era, and the quality does shine through even in this version. So the question now is, what will the next colorisation be? Because as long as Russell T Davies is in charge, it seems they're going to keep doing one of these every year. We did get a brief taster of potential future instalments, with brief clips of several Troughton episodes colorised as part of the trial, and they did look pretty good. The scenes of Jamie and Zoe returning home gave a tantalising glimpse as to what it would be like to see the Highlanders or the Wheel in space in colour, although neither of those stories have even been animated yet. If I had to guess, I'd say they might alternate between Hartnell and Troughton stories, so I'm guessing they might do the Aztecs next. There's lots of bright colours in that story, so it would look incredible. And they could easily cut it down to 75 minutes like the Daleks without losing too much story. So thank you for watching, subscribe for more Doctor Who videos, and I'll see you next time.